You hear me? Great. So my name is Ty Morshed. What I'm really going to focus on today, there's been a lot of talk about programmatic, so I'm going to really continue that conversation. And we're going to go through some things about really how programmatic can be leveraged not just for performance and direct response, but how that can be integrated with brand objectives to really drive a business objective, because that's what most brands really want to care about. So I'll take you through a little bit about who TubeMogul is. Some people may know TubeMogul, many may not. So I'll talk about that. The change in consumer landscape, metrics that really matter to brands and how you can measure that in digital. And then last, what's to come with TubeMogul and our new company, and then some takeaways. So really just fast, TubeMogul started in 2007. It's a video analytics company. It won a business competition at the University of Berkeley. Our founders, Brett and John here, were well ahead of the curve in understanding that digital was going to consume even brand opportunities like TV, video, all these sorts of traditional media opportunities. And what's happened is we've grown immensely from a small company a few years ago to about 700 people globally. And really the problems we're solving was really identified by Adobe. So Adobe bought us at the end of December. And now we're working on some integrations, which I'll talk about. But ultimately, the goal, and what I'll talk about more in depth today, is that our focus is to make brand advertising simple and accountable. And if you think about search and SEO, you put $100 in, you know exactly what you're going to get back out of it from a forecast, what the performance is, what you delivered, and just complete control of your data itself. If you think about traditional advertising, if you advertise on TV, billboards, print, you don't necessarily know exactly what's happened, and that's really where we're focusing. As these channels go digital, how can we make it simple and accountable? We've done some of this work already, and this is really all the channels that we're starting to ingest globally. You'll see the traditional, the digital channels, but you also start to see traditional channels. In other regions, we're doing TV, digital out of home, audio, and we're starting to encompass all this through a platform. And why this is happening and why this is important and significant for advertisers is because really the consumer landscape has very quickly changed. If you think about how branding and advertising started, it was print. It was just a newspaper. That's how you actually ran your first ads. You see a lot of capitals and exclamation marks to try to have a sense of emotion. Well, then radio was created. That took it a step further because you could have verbal cues along with the text that's being talked about. And the whole family would sit around and listen to the radio so an advertiser could reach mass audiences at once. Well, really the golden age came with TV. And this is when the whole family would sit around. Brands actually could use sight, sound, and emotion to talk about what their brand means and really relate to the end audience or their target audience. And you could reach massive amounts of people and relay your message. And if you think about it, this is really when Coke and P&G and Nestle and all these big brands were built. Well, the problem is we live in this world today. If you go to anyone's living room, maybe a person or two are watching TV. A lot of people are actually consuming other types of devices and platforms, which might be your mobile phone, your tablet, your computer, and it's actually led to this situation where you've got massive fragmentation. And so what used to be you just reach everybody on their TV and you had all the reach you wanted as a brand, as an advertiser, now it's starting to split up. And it's not easy to go out and actually do deals and actually execute advertising on all these platforms effectively and efficiently. And so what is driving a lot of this growth, maybe a little hard to see here, but this is digital video viewers worldwide by country. And in green is India, brown is the US, good metric to compare against. And what you're seeing here is in 2019, 2020, at the bottom left corner, India is actually going to pass US in the unique number of digital video viewers. And that's actually a great, enormous opportunity because for a brand, it used to mean you run all of TV and you're done with your branding. Now it really means you need to think about TV and everything that's happening in digital as an opportunity to reach your consumers where they are. And it doesn't necessarily mean TV is going away. All that really means, actually let me go back. So I guess I missed that slide. All that really means is that there's just more different opportunities to consume media. And this is really what we talk about programmatic branding. So generally, I think people think about programmatic as direct response, low funnel activity, efficient buying. It can still be efficient buying, but what we're starting to see is how can technology be used to actually focus on brand objectives. And that means we have to have a different set of metrics. These are downtrending metrics to us. A completion doesn't really accomplish much for a brand when you're trying to think about awareness and preference. All it's really doing is saying someone watched your ad, but you're not sure if it actually worked. So what we're really seeing is upward metrics, and these are actually metrics that are traditionally used. So brands really care about, did I reach my right audience at a massive scale? Was my ad even seen? Because if it wasn't seen, it didn't have a chance to be actually even work. Was there a lift in awareness, preference, intent? And ultimately, the goal and a real business objective is an offline sales ROI. And so this is a couple of quick case studies I'll take you through and examples of how we've seen brands leverage programmatic branding and ultimately tying this to something like a direct response, but more importantly, a brand objective. So this is actually a case study of an insurance client of ours. And what they traditionally did is bought the lowest inventory possible with the highest number of clicks. But what they didn't really know is did that result in a brand objective or a marketing objective, which was truly the cost per quote or the cost per lead for an insurance company. So what we did is tied in their analytics and said, okay, let's test a low CPM, medium CPM, and a high CPM. From a completion rate for a video, looks about the same. I'm going with the low CPM. From a click-through rate, low CPM and a high CPM look pretty good, medium does not. If I then bring in the actual cost, the most efficient buy for me probably, based on what I normally do, would be the lowest CPM. But if I bring in a brand metric like viewability, was my ad even seen? And this isn't going to always be the case, but this was the case for this test. The high CPM actually results in the most viewable, high quality inventory that's out there. And really what that matters and why that means something is because when they looked at the cost per quote or the cost per lead, when they did this study, it actually well verified that they should actually spend the higher dollars. And this is the type of thing that generally when you're thinking about performance marketing and direct response, you're not necessarily looking at because it's not a brand or a marketing objective. But for this client, this is the insight they wanted to get. If we look at measuring digital branding with offline ROIs, another example. So this is a luxury beauty retailer. And what they really wanted to focus on was try to understand when they did marketing in certain cities versus other cities where they went dark, did that actually lead to any sort of in-store traffic, in-store sales? So they did match market tests where in 4 markets they ran advertising, just digital, and in 4 markets they didn't. And what they really did is try to understand and look at their in-store sales data to see was there more in-store sales data and more in-store sales. And what they did find was, naturally, and again, if you're not tying this together, you wouldn't know this, but they were looking at the in-store sales data and they saw in the 4 markets that they ran actual advertising, and digital particularly, there was a big lift in sales. So what's to come, and this is more about where do we fit in and where are we helping our clients in the future. So as I mentioned, we were bought by Adobe. Adobe's got a great product called AMO, Adobe Media Optimizer. That's historically been focused on performance, display, and search. We've been focused on branding. Well, if you put the two together, you start to get the ability to actually measure brand lift, transparency, and brand metrics that really matter, including what's happening on the actions and conversions. And of course, they have the analytics solution to determine what's happening on the site. So we're really excited to look at this. This is just a quick sneak peek. In a few weeks, we'll be doing a much bigger launch at Adobe Summit in Las Vegas. At that time, you'll all have a lot more information if you like. But I want to end with a couple of quick key takeaways if I had to talk about what's important here and why this all matters. So programmatic is equally relevant to branding as performance. It's not just about direct response. There's a lot of opportunities to reach people across a lot of different platforms, and really programmatic can help create the efficiencies to execute those buys. Secondly, brand metrics are very different from performance. If you try to run a video ad and focus on clicks, you're not going to get high completions. Ultimately, you've got conflicting goals here. So if you can tie your performance and brand metrics together to some sort of business objective, you can usually get to a place where you're actually delivering against your goals. And last, holistically planning and buying media through one platform can actually give you insights into how the overall performance is and what's really driving you your results. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. That's what I've got for today. I may have about 30 seconds for any questions. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. And if not, that's okay. Cool. Well, thanks for having us. Of course, Adobe's outside as well. And have a good the rest of your AdTech 2017. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very crisp presentation, so thank you so much for that.